Herman Cain is down. Newt Gingrich is up. The Republicans are trying to figure out who's their presidential guy. Bilal Sekou, University of Hartford professor. When we last had you on, Cain was up. Right. Now he's down. Now Newt is back. Now, what's your take on all this?
Well, I think actually the story of course, to tell is the rise of Newt Gingrich. I mean, this is a guy several months ago, a lot of his staff quit, and now the guy is, competing to be the nominee. Just an incredible sort of rise from the ashes.
Lesser of two evils, because Cain is falling now because of his ethics and integrity issues.
Right.
But Gingrich had some serious issues, right? He had some serious skeletons in that closet.
I think Gingrich has a lot of baggage, and I imagine the folks over at the White House are hoping that Gingrich actually is the candidate, just so they can sort of dig through those skeletons in the closet.
So what's wrong with Mitt Romney? Because you have Michelle Bachmann, then Herman Cain, and Newt Gingrich, and the up and down, but standing steady still is the Romney. Some people still feel he'll be the guy when all is said and done. Right. But why isn't he moving the needle? Yeah,
actually, I think when the dust settles, that Romney will actually be the nominee. The problem he has right now is that, the folks who participate in New Hampshire and also in Iowa early on are some of the most conservative in the party. And I think Romney has a problem with conservatives. They've got some questions about consistency, how deeply is his commitment to conservatism. And so those, I think it really shows in the sort of anti-Romney candidate, which is anybody but Romney, which keeps, surging folks like Cain, Bachmann, Perry, and if someone jumps in who's got some conservative credentials, they may surge as well.
Third party possibility?
That one I doubt. I think structurally it's just, not going to happen. I think, at the end of the day, we're probably going to see a lot of the folks in the establishment of the Republican Party align themselves around Romney. I think you see evidence of that already, but, certainly that conservative base is not satisfied with him just yet. He's got some problems in the South as well among Christian conservatives in the party, so he's got some real difficulties, I think, come next November in terms of motivating that base and getting them to turn out so he can try to challenge Obama and possibly win. All
right, so for Romney now, the issue still is I won't say likability, but do you trust him? He's been a chronic flip-flopper on some key issues.
Yeah.
Right, people don't like that, and it looks bad when you go on these big shows and they show you 5 years ago saying this and now having a completely different position doesn't look good.
And a good example of that is his position on immigration, but also his position on abortion. Just recently it came out that he now is opposed to abortion, but at one point he was pro-choice. And so it's that kind of inconsistency, one might even say flip-flopping, that I think has really damaged him among that conservative base.
You want someone with conviction, right? That's a big deal for voters. Who has conviction, and maybe they don't have to agree with you on every single element, but they want to see what your convictions are.
Yeah, but I think there are some core issues that, that base really cares about, and I think Romney's got some problems on some of those issues. Certainly social issues like abortion. The immigration issue is also another issue that base cares a whole deal about, and Romney has really not shown the consistency over the years on those issues for enough of those folks in that base.
So if you're a betting man right now, you say that Romney takes it when all said and done, when the dust clears, Mitt Romney.
I think when the dust clears, it'll be a Romney-Obama campaign in the fall.
Is that something that the president's people would lick their chops at, or is that going to be, is he a viable candidate?
Yeah, I think in many ways. I mean, that, I think any of the candidates the president would probably like to take a shot at. I think all of them have some flaws that he might be able to capitalize on, he and his folk. But I think, clearly, once the dust settled, I think Romney probably is the least damaged of the candidates as far as having that sort of national appeal. I mean, once you get past that very conservative base and you got to get out there and win among moderates.
Fight for the middle, right? The fight for the middle.
Exactly. I think Romney looks better with moderates than he does with the base right now.
The Occupy movement all across the country, Hartford and California, New York, wherever. How come that's not hurting the president more? This is sort of a anti-establishment movement, and I don't sense the president is getting nicked by this. Why?
Well, and I think a lot of that attention is directed probably where it needs to be directed, which is at Wall Street, which is at the bankers, which is at a lot of those sort of financial institutions that have been at the forefront, and also.
But knowing folks will link that movement to whoever's president and link the two. Are you surprised that he's not being linked to that at all?
Well, I think, part of what's helped the president is that this is not an issue that just came up now. I think, this this has been building for decades now. You know, the inequality that we see now has been growing for years. People feel it in their budgets. They know, and in their wallet, they know this isn't anything that just started, you know, when the president took office. And so I think this is really the culmination of a lot of different challenges that the country faces.
Potential powder keg here. I've been surprised by the sustainability of the movement. The folks here in Hartford have been there. They're still out there. Have you been surprised by how long they've been able to sustain the movement? And do you have a powder keg? We had a situation where there were pepper spraying students at UC Davis. Could this thing erupt to where it's a major political issue?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure if I would call it a movement, but you know, certainly there is this idea out here that a lot of people have aligned themselves behind about wanting to fight back against Wall Street, wanting to fight back against corporate power, and also fight back against Washington as well. And so I think this thing has nothing but the potential to grow. I think it's going to have to get some sort of institutional legs if this is going to really move forward. I think folks are going to have to get out there and, you know, create a message that they can really sell to, you know, the broader public. But I think it's at its core, it's a message that I think resonates with a lot of people about growing inequality and sort of the indifference of Washington and Wall Street to the pain that people in middle America are feeling, and also people in the lower classes as well.
All right. Professor Bilal Sekou, one of our regular contributors now here to the program. Always appreciated having you on. Thanks to all our guests, Jeff Jacobs, Scott Gray, and Bilal Sekou. Don't forget to catch our show 24/7 at ctnow.com/stand. Friend us on Facebook or follow us on Facebook, Twitter too. For the good folks here at Fox Connecticut, I'm Stan Simpson. The Morning News and Tim Lammers. It's next.